Well, we're back at it, back in Romans 13, chapter 3, verses 13 and 14 today. And before we read those verses, it's good to just think about the fact that how often what we say gets us into trouble. Jesus warned us that what's in a man's heart comes out in what he speaks, what he says, what he does, and how true that is. What's in our heart is often betrayed by our lips and our mouth and our tongue, shows us the depth of our corruption and depth of our unrighteousness. Sometimes it's even just that internal dialogue, things we say to ourselves that we are glad that we don't say out loud, but so often we say out loud things that are better left unsaid. That's what he's talking about in these verses. If we look at verses 13 and 14, he's focusing on the mouth, the tongue, the lips. He's been talking about, up to this point, our depravity, our sinful state, that there's no one who seeks God, not even one. Well, this is expressed, and it's expressed in our lives, and it's often expressed by our mouth. We say things that we shouldn't say. Paul says here, as proof that he's quoting the Old Testament, God has revealed these things to us long, long ago. We're without excuse in so many different ways. Not only are we without excuse because of our sin, but we're without excuse because we have been told by God. We haven't paid attention to him. Now he tells us here, their throat, that is these fallen ones, these ones in the previous verse that have turned aside, have become corrupt, who does no good, that they have become, their throat is like a grave, just death comes out of it. Death is generated by their words. Their words are not life-giving. Their words are death-producing. Their throat is an open grave. Their tongues keep deceiving. You know, sometimes we say if we ask, is a politician speaking? And then we conclude that he must be lying if he's speaking. Same thing here. Their tongues, if their tongue is moving, it's a deception. And if we reflect on it somewhat, not too hard, we find that to be true. Find that to be true in ourselves. We're often thinking about our words and how we can present ourselves in the best possible light, how we can perhaps disguise our motives, perhaps even deny our motives by the words we say, how we try to make ourselves look better than we know we really are by carefully choosing our words. Those are all kinds of lying. And of course, there's just outright denials and lies that we tell almost on a continuous basis, it seems. And that's what he's warning about. Their tongues, they keep deceiving. The book of Proverbs, my yearly reading through the Bible, I'm in the book of Proverbs right now, and lots of proverbs concerning basically keeping your mouth shut. That where there's a lot of talk, sin is not far, that we need to be very careful of what we say and be quiet most of the time. He goes on here in verse 13. Their tongues keep deceiving. The venom of asps or snakes, we can say, is under their lips. These are venomous snakes. It's as if they're spewing out poison when they speak. Their mouths, Paul concludes, are full of cursing and bitterness. I pray, brothers and sisters, that you are not one of these people who will grow bitter as you grow older, that you grow cursing, not so much swearing, although I pray that you don't do that. I was raised in a house where there was a lot of swearing, but cursing, just being resentful of other people, talking spitefully about them, talking rude about them behind their back, maybe not using vulgar words, but having vulgar ideas communicated about other people. Mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. I pray that you're not like that, because it shows that you are either not saved at the worst, or perhaps not growing, which Paul will talk about later when we get to chapter 6. But I pray that you don't find yourself, as you get older, falling into cursing and bitterness, but rather that in your life you find more and more and more to be thankful to the Lord for, more things to be joyful over, more things to be happy about, more opportunities to tell people about your joy in the Lord. So, again, just to wrap up, Paul is making a very sober and somber conclusion to his first part of his argument here, that we are all sinners. And he wants us to think about it. That's why he keeps repeating all these things. He wants us to put these things in our mind. You know, he doesn't have, he's not writing with a computer. He doesn't have the opportunity to put everything in bold, italics, and underline. No, what he does to emphasize is repeat and repeat and repeat. And it's as if he's driving one nail after another into the coffin, so that we have no excuse and no escape. So hang in there with us as we go through these final verses of our condemnation before the Lord, and then we'll talk about, again, the gracious salvation that he's provided to us.